Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ramin Hashemi. I'm a SCORE volunteer, SCORE Minnesota volunteer, and today I will help moderate this meeting and this presentation by my fellow volunteer, Diane McKeever, who will do a great job telling us about LinkedIn. So I've been on LinkedIn for years and years, but I guess I'll consider myself a novice when it comes to LinkedIn functionality. So I'm looking forward to learning a few things, and I know we'll all take great interest in this. So Diane, if you would move us to the next slide. So I want to tell you a little bit about SCORE. So a lot of you, I think I'm starting to see some familiar names here. You might have seen this. We are a nationwide nonprofit that works with the Small Business Administration. We provide small businesses with confidential business mentoring, which used to be largely in person. We switched to online, and hopefully we'll be able to start more in-person mentoring soon. And then educational services, which is something like we're doing here. Not only do we provide those live, we also record them, and they're available online. We have over 300 chapters nationwide, over 10,000 volunteers, maybe even nearing 11,000 volunteers. In our chapter in SCORE Minnesota, we have 90 or so volunteers that work with the businesses in this community. And we've been around for over 50 years. Our chapter was recognized as a Diamond chapter recently, and that is something we take a lot of pride in. Another thing to be very proud of is since its founding in 1964, SCORE has helped 11 million small businesses throughout the country, which is very, very significant. And we continue to be proud of what we do. In terms of our proposition, we get involved quite a bit in the pre-startup entrepreneurs that have great ideas, and they want to talk about how do I turn that idea into a business, research, planning, what does it take to run a company? What sort of corporation, et cetera, et cetera. And then opening a business, making sure you do all the things in terms of planning, accounting, legal, regulatory. What does it take to set up a business? A lot of people in business want to know how to grow more and more their revenue. So we get involved. Not only do we have specific mentors assigned, they have access to subject matter experts that have real life experience in business. Or when you get to the end of the road, sometimes business doesn't work out, or the climate changes and the business needs to close. And an exit strategy is very, very important. So our goal is to make sure you are successful, whatever your goals are in business. If you, our website is minnesota.score.org. I want to put a little plug for our mentors here. So we have just expanded our mentor count by a large number. I guess that's one of the upsides or a plus sides of people moving to Florida. We've had a lot of new people join, and they're now certified as mentors. So we're looking for new entrepreneurs to pair up with them. So if you know anybody that can benefit from, exploring an idea, or anything when it comes to those business cycles we talked about, please do have them request a mentor on minnesota.score.org. Another really important item is finding the workshop and webinar events, which play a large role in our mission, which is to provide education. If that material is out there, we pull it in as we mentor you, and a mentor will be able to direct you there. We have podcasts out there. We've got a lot of great videos and more resources. So if you would, do me a favor and get on that website sometime today, minnesota.score.org, and check it out. One of the things we are very proud of is our community partners. Not only do they support us with their donations, more importantly, they support us with their knowledge. And last year was a huge value add for us to have access to the banks. So when the government rolled out the CARES Act, there was a lot of confusion in the marketplace about how to fill out applications, what the criteria are, and it was very onerous. And we're able to pull in some of our bank partners and community partners to help the business community navigate that sometimes complex process. So we're very proud of our community partners. Now, without further ado, let me introduce Diane McKeever, who is going to talk to us about LinkedIn. Actually, before I do that, this is set up as a webinar. So if you have questions, please type them up in the Q&A box, and I will try to monitor them. We want to let Diane go through her presentation, and then at the end, we'll have time to answer those questions that came in online, or if you want to raise your hand, we could even open up your microphone at the end and allow you to speak. But that's how we're going to run it. I'm really excited, Diane. Let's get it going.
Absolutely. One other thing I wanted to mention is that this is being recorded. So if you have to cut out early, or you're distracted during part of it, you will get a link to this video recording. It will come in the mail, maybe today, probably tomorrow, better chance tomorrow. You'll also get a copy of this entire presentation in a PDF format. So you'll be able to refer back to it. There are a couple of links on here that, excuse me, you don't have to worry about noting them down. You'll have the entire presentation. So let's get started on about LinkedIn. And of course, this is the big question, isn't it? Why should I be on LinkedIn? It's just another time-consuming thing for me to do. And you know what? I'm not looking for a job. So why should I be on LinkedIn? Well, many, many people, probably more than they know, should be on LinkedIn. I just got a client this week who is a roofer. And you might say, a roofer, why would they want to be on LinkedIn? And they're not a professional. I mean, they're a professional, but they're not the traditional way that we think about somebody who would be on LinkedIn. But I'm going to show you why they might want to do that, because on LinkedIn, we've got something called groups that we'll hear about later. And if they want to connect to people who are in property management, one way of doing it would be to have a LinkedIn profile, to join a property management group, to get your name out there. I mean, that's what it is. It's all about networking. And P.S., yes, you might have a job right now and you might not be looking for a job, but you heard about that Better CEO who went on the infamous Zoom call last week and fired 900 people. Those 900 people had no idea that they were going to be looking for a job. So you may not be looking for a job at this moment, but it's something that you should be aware of. You should always be building a network of clients and collaborators. Why? Well, because you can learn from them. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to share information and to take information. You can think about LinkedIn as being a vehicle for your continuing education program. You can become a thought leader and an industry knowledgeable person, so that when somebody is looking for information, they might contact you, not necessarily for a job, but they would respect you. So LinkedIn is for real adults. I thought this was so funny, for real adults engaged in real business professions, professional business. It's not a platform for social commentary. We don't want to see pictures of your cutest puppy. I'm sure the puppy is delightful. I don't really care where you just went on your last vacation. This is not for that. If you want to do those things, you know where to go. You know what platforms are best for them. This is a business platform, and let's always keep that in mind. Facebook may be the largest social networking site in the world today, but LinkedIn has been supporting its users for a longer period of time. And more importantly, for those looking to network and develop business connections, LinkedIn users know the platform is a professional social networking site. In a world where the technology is rapidly changing, the longevity of the tech company, which was founded in 2003, that's almost 20 years, is a tribute to its utility and dominance within its niche social market. Its reach It's the world's largest professional network, nearly 740 million members in over 200 countries and territories, only 25% of whom are in the US. So if the international market is your market, then LinkedIn is a place that you really want to be. And whether you interface with them or not, people in other countries, you can learn from them. You know, the United States is not necessarily the smartest country in the world. So who is the LinkedIn user? Well, the LinkedIn user is generally educated and making a good salary. The largest group is right in that millennial band, with males slightly more than females. And it's a huge active community, potentially being exposed to your posts. 63% of LinkedIn users access the network monthly and 22% weekly. Now that may not sound like a lot, but when you start out with such a large number, it's a lot of people who are seeing your posts. Generally, more than 60% of LinkedIn users have the free account. I have the free account. I'm not willing to pay anything to be on LinkedIn, and I get a great deal out of it. Generally, the people who are paying are the recruiters, because they can do the better job searches and they can really get into the Boolean searches and find very specific people that they're looking for. But for the average user, you don't have to pay anything in order to get a great deal out of it. So what's on your LinkedIn? Well, your LinkedIn profile is made up of a profile picture. It's also made up of a cover picture, and we're going to talk about these individually because they're all very important. It's also made up of a headline. People are not taking advantage of this headline, and I hope that you will after this presentation. And then there are a brief list of some of your accomplishments. If you're on LinkedIn, the next time you go on, do a search for me, Diane McKeever. I throw in the Korch on that maiden name just to differentiate me, because there's a dentist and there's another Diane McKeever who's also accomplished. So you might not be able to find me, but look for that maiden name and link to me. I'd love to increase my territory. So thank you. Oh, right. So your profile must have a professional photo, not just a photo. I'm going to show you some examples of photos that people used. It should have a professional photo, a well-designed cover picture. We're going to talk about some of your options relative to that. A complete headline, and we're going to look at some good ones and some not so good ones. List your current position. This is really important because the paid people have an opportunity to do searches with Boolean operators, the ands or nots or ors, and they're able to filter the results. And the matrix would indicate that you are more than 14 times likely to get views if you have a complete profile. And you also want to list at least 5 relevant skills. While I was in here recently, I noticed that you can also take tests within LinkedIn to prove that you have this skill. So I took a couple of tests on Excel and Word and PowerPoint and all the things that I've been teaching for 30 years. And surprisingly, I actually did pretty well. So I'm happy that that is now one of my relevant skills and a proven relevant skill. So these are some profile pictures. My biggest complaint is when people use the default avatar and don't even bother putting a picture on. There is no way I am connecting to somebody with an avatar picture, because if they don't care that much about their picture, I don't care about connecting with them. So they may be the greatest person in the world, but the chances of me connecting with them are slim to none. I think it's inappropriate. Look at these bottom 2 on the bottom right. I think it's inappropriate to just, take a little crop out of a larger group picture. Maybe it was your Christmas party and you're going to use that as your profile picture. This should be a professional picture. It should show that you care about it. Even this guy in the field, I can't even see what his face looks like. So, look at your profile picture and make sure that it expresses what you want it to express. Then we get to our cover pictures, and you should have a well-designed cover picture. Again, this in the upper left corner is the default cover picture. So if I see that, again, you don't care that much about expressing to people who you are and what you care about. What sort of cover pictures should you have? Well, maybe you want to have a business atmosphere, maybe the one with the computers in the office sounds like a good one, or a cityscape of your location. Maybe your building, is your building significant? Maybe your team, so that we could humanize your LinkedIn picture, your LinkedIn page, your causes, your tools, the tools of your trade, your product or service. Take your own pictures or consider using attribution-free COOs. One good place or two good places are creativecommons.org. They have images that are free and legal for you to use. You can also create your own custom backgrounds. You know that there are great graphic design places online, canva.com and visme.com. Before you go to these places, you might do a little search on the shape, the size of the picture. That should be for your LinkedIn cover, and it will tell you the height and width. I could tell you that too, but it changes frequently enough that you really should see what it is for 2021. Now we get to the headlines. So the headlines are right underneath your name, and it should convey the important information that you want people to know about you. And it should be written, I personally like the dividers, oops, I wasn't finished. I personally like the vertical dividers because you can write in little snippets that contain all the information you need to know. Now, poor Regina down here, she's a senior PM Salesforce consultant helping CT nonprofits achieve their mission by using Salesforce to manage it. Please, Regina, we don't have enough time to read all of this. What she might have written was Salesforce consultant dash nonprofits. You know, that's about all we need to know. This is not a storytelling. This is for you to write a headline as to what your strengths are, why we might want to connect with you. They've added, LinkedIn has added 2 badges that you can add to your picture. One is open to work and the other is hiring. Kind of an interesting concept that was, as I say, was added recently. These are ways of identifying that your business is hiring and or that you're open to work. Now be careful with the open to work. If you're currently working and your boss doesn't know that you're open to working elsewhere, that might get you into trouble. So, you know, just word to the wise on that one. Once you have your personal once you have your personal LinkedIn profile identified, then you can create a company page. You would go to the work, they call this a waffle, unofficially they call this 9-dot situation a waffle, and you can click on that and you would be able to then choose create a company page. Once you did that, you'd be able to identify what type of business it is that you're opening. And then once you clicked on any of these, you just go through the prompts and fill in the information on your company page. Once you have a company page, if you are in charge of it, you should really encourage the other employees to beef up their LinkedIn page and connect to the business page. That lends credibility to the business page, and it also shows you know, what your business is all about and the kind of people that you employ. So growing your network. I mean, everybody logs on to LinkedIn and they've got no connections. So LinkedIn is very accommodating to that. They'd be more than happy if you wanted to upload your entire address book so that they could invite all of these people to become part of LinkedIn, and also then to suggest partners for you to connect to. So why do you want to grow your network? Well, you want to grow it so that you have a larger sphere of influence, that you have a larger number of followers. So you want to personalize your connection requests if you could. When you click on connect, it has an opportunity for you to personalize it. And you might, if this is somebody that you ran into recently on a Zoom call, because that's all we're doing these days, right? But if you ran into someone at a conference back in the day, you could take their business card, look them up on LinkedIn, and then connect to them, and that would help you expand your network. You want to perhaps have achievable goals. Most of us who have been on LinkedIn, I think I was like number 3 user of LinkedIn. It's been so long that I've been on here, but I now have over 1,500 connections. Well, you don't do that in a day, and maybe should you do it at all, but that's a question for a different day. But you want to say, well, maybe today I'll just connect to 4 or 5 or 10 people. And then maybe in the course of a week, you'll see that now you've got 100 and then you've got 200. So it's something that's an ongoing process. People will want to link to you if they're engaged by your posts. We're going to talk about what you might be writing on LinkedIn, because it's not enough. On Facebook, it's okay to be a lurker, I call them, which is, somebody who is there and is always in the shadows. You don't really know that they're there until finally one day, oh, they've commented on something. Oh, okay, so they still are on Facebook. The same is true on LinkedIn. There's the chatty Cathys who are always there and always commenting on things. And then there's the lurkers who periodically will come out. But if you are posting interesting information, then people will want to connect to you. If you are part of LinkedIn groups, and again, we're going to refer to that in just a moment, if you're part of LinkedIn groups, people will want to connect to you. If you have visual content on your posts, people will want to connect with you. So if you want to expand your reach, which I think most of us on LinkedIn would like to do, it's important that you are active on there, that you're posting things, that you're commenting on things. And here's an interesting aside on comments. If you are commenting 4 or fewer words, so like you're just saying, congratulations, good job, that doesn't rank well in the algorithms that are used by LinkedIn. You have to put in 5 or more words. There's a magic number of 5 words. So if you find that there's something that you really want to comment on, put in 5 or more words, and that particular post actually is going to be seen by more people, because success breeds success in LinkedIn. If your post is read by enough people and commented by enough people, then it will be shown to even more people. Okay, so LinkedIn groups. Why would you want to become a part of a LinkedIn group? Well, it's an opportunity for you to share your insight and experience. So a LinkedIn group, as I said, for this roofer, it could be property management people. He will make himself aware of the property management people. They will make themselves aware of him, and possibly this would work into a nice relationship. P.S. This is not going to happen to this particular client, because even the cell phone is a little bit confusing to him. So LinkedIn is beyond what I expect of his capabilities. But in any event, you can ask for guidance, right? I have another client who is a private detective, and I have encouraged her to go on to LinkedIn, join legal groups, and see if she can get connections in her particular area. Become a thought leader. So you've got good ideas, you have skills, and you would like to share those with somebody. Well, join a group, write an article. People will be impressed by the things that you know. You can build valuable connections and expand your network by joining groups. So there are two things that you can post on LinkedIn. One is a post and the other is an article. And we're going to talk first about a post. Now, for those of you who have been on LinkedIn, probably most of the information that you have put up has been using a post. A post has a short status update. It is a short status update, and it's got only 3,000 character limit. Did you know that 3,000 characters is about 6 pages? So I don't think 3,000 is a limitation. And please don't take advantage of every one of those 3,000 characters, because nobody wants to read that much of what you have to say pretty much. But on a post, you should add an image or a video or even a document to that post. But posts are only shared within LinkedIn and Twitter, because Twitter now is affiliated with LinkedIn. It appears in the LinkedIn newsfeed. Well, that's the good news, that it appears in the newsfeed. Unfortunately, the newsfeed doesn't have a very long lifespan. It really is a matter of, depending upon the reactions that you get, it could be a matter of days, possibly weeks, but not much more than that. And most importantly, it doesn't appear in a SERP. A SERP is a search engine results page. I didn't actually know that. I had to look it up, but it doesn't appear in a SERP. And that's important because your alternative is that you could write an article as opposed to a post. It's a longer form of content. It's very much like writing a blog post. If you've ever written a blog post, and a lot of people would like to write blog posts, but often they don't know where to host them. Well, if you host your blog post on LinkedIn, you will have an opportunity to take the link from that and put it anywhere you want. So it's a much more flexible document. It's 125,000 character limit. And let me see, I looked that up. Yeah, about 260 pages. You could be writing your book in an article on LinkedIn if necessary. You can share it on Facebook and Twitter and within LinkedIn. And the reality is you can share it anywhere because it's a link, isn't it? You can put it on your website. You can put it anywhere you want. You cannot tag others in an article. And if you want, it doesn't appear on a post, but you have the opportunity after you write your article to say, I want to share it as a post. So it comes in with a link, and it does appear on the SERP. So if somebody goes to a Google search engine and they put in whatever the topic is of your talk, all the keywords in there, it will then result in people outside of LinkedIn being able to see your article on LinkedIn. So there's an opportunity for you to expand your network. And by network there, I really mean the number of people who see the information that you're posting. And it has a long lifespan. Basically, it's going to be around for as long as the internet. And we hope that the internet will be around for maybe a year or two longer. So what are your sharing options? Well, on the left, we have what a sharing when you share your post, what your options are. Anyone plus the people on Twitter, only my connections, or group members. And if you choose group members, you'd click on that and it would show you all of the groups that you're a part of. Sadly, you can only share it to one group at a time. So for instance, when I'm sharing SCORE updates, I like to share them to all of my business groups. So I have about 15 business groups that I'm affiliated with, and I have to do that 15 times, but it's not terrible. On the right, you can see what your sharing options are relative to an article. So you could share it as a post. You could share it in a message. That would be an individual message or a group message to a small group of people. copy the link. Now, see, that's what I was telling you about, that you can copy the link. So this can be your personal storage for all of your articles that you want to share. One of the things that I forgot to mention about articles is that you can format them, which is something you cannot do on a post. So you can have headlines, you can have subheadings, you can add bullets, you can add numbered items. It is much more interactive within the post itself. You can put multiple pictures. So if you're explaining something, if you're giving a series of steps, you can do screenshots in there, all kinds of things. So you can see that there's a big difference between a post and an article. So the steps in creating a post. If you've never created a post in LinkedIn, you would see your profile picture and you would see a box that would say start a post. And so you would click in start a post. You then choose your audience. So right away you choose who's going to see your post. I typically have it going to anyone, or if I wanted only my connections, I might think about doing that, only the people that I know are connected to me, or I could choose a group. But most of the time I have it as anyone on or off LinkedIn. Then you have an opportunity to add a photo or a document or a video, share that you're hiring. You can see the other options that are available here. Then you write your post. I like short posts. Every time I click, I see more. You know, if it's too long, you have to click on more. You better have captivated me in those first few lines before I'm going to click on more. And it shouldn't be clickbait, really. Just write a couple of lines and you let your picture, let your image do it, or link it to your article if you really wanted something much longer than that. Create tags, your hashtags. These are going to make the post better and more visible. So you know it's just the # and the word that's the hashtag. And LinkedIn actually helps you with this process because as you're writing, it's suggesting what some of your hashtags might be. And then you click the post button and then it's out there for the world or whatever audience you chose. The article steps are very similar, except that you don't click where it says start a post. You come down, and if you may not have seen this before, because it's a relatively new feature in LinkedIn, you click on write article. And that will get you into a window where you would be literally writing your article. And you can see already that we've got headline, we've got styles in here. If you're familiar with styles in other programs, this makes it very easy for you to keep your document consistent. Formatting, bold, italic, underline, our number and buttons, our number and bullet buttons. And then you have an opportunity to write your entire article, you're adding your images. And so you have an opportunity to make this a complete document. And we do say, if you're writing a longer document, add headlines and subheadings. It kind of keeps people going, you know, if you've read a paragraph or two and you're thinking about bailing on the rest of it. Oh, wait, I saw another headline that looked a little interesting. I think I'll continue along. Maybe it won't be as boring as the first paragraph. You probably don't write boring things, so I'm sure that wouldn't affect you. Okay, so what should you post? Well, when you're posting your blog posts, that's an obvious one, right? Or third-party content, video that you've created. One of my clients is in the business of creating those tchotchkes, you know, the publicity stuff, let me see, pens and pencils and, you know, all kinds of stuff with your name on it. And I suggested that he put in some videos of him showing his products. And so he did that very simply. You know, he did it with his cell phone. I don't even think he edited it after he took it, and he put it on there and he found it to be very successful. People relate to short videos. And as you're on LinkedIn, as you're scrolling down through the list of posts, the video will actually start, not the sound, fortunately, but the video will all automatically start. So even if people don't think that they want to see your video, they will be subjected to it. Maybe subjected isn't a good word. They will experience it. That's the better word. They will experience it. Subjected sounds like, you know, it's a punishment. You can have text only, but that's not recommended. That it is recommended that you add some photos. So the ever popular question, when should I post to my LinkedIn? Well, think about the average business person. You think Monday and Fridays are going to be good days for them to be looking at their LinkedIn? No. They are overwhelmed on Mondays and they're underwhelmed on Fridays, right? Typically Friday, they've got one foot out the door from noon on. So there's no fooling around looking at LinkedIn. So your sweet spot, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You think on Saturday, Sunday, they're looking at their LinkedIn? No, this is on company time that they're looking at their LinkedIn, because they probably think, and perhaps rightly so, they probably think that LinkedIn is really someplace that they should go to do business, and that they are increasing their business exposure doing this. So perhaps that's a good idea. The best time to post, between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. and 5 to 6 p.m. How surprising is this? You know, you get into work, well, in the day, people would go into work and they'd open up their newspapers and they'd start reading what's on the news. Well, I suspect that not too many people are getting the newspaper these days, but they do open up their computer and they probably look at the headlines and they might check their LinkedIn in the morning, or it might be something, you know, at the end of the day, I've got a little bit of time. It isn't time for me to leave yet. So I think I'll check my LinkedIn. So those are your sweet spots: Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, morning or afternoon. Remember, posts don't always stay on very long, so you want to try and get there at the right time. Okay, so LinkedIn is all about starting a conversation and building relationships. And sometimes that means talking about something other than your own brand. You know, it isn't always about you. That you see information that other people post and you say, I didn't put it up there, but man, that's valuable information. I think that my people, my LinkedIn connections would be interested in this. So sharing information that other people put on there is very appropriate. And it heightens your credibility, believe it or not, because you are recognizing that this is someone that is putting in some thought-provoking information that perhaps you would like to share. But you want your target audience to associate with you with valuable information, because if they do, they'll be much more likely to click on your original content because you recognize good content. So it's really a good idea to share other people's posts. Sometimes you can have a text-only post. You can see that they've done this effectively with a little bit of graphic stuff with these little X's. And so if it's short and you have basic information, you can do this as a text only. Or, and this is the preferred, this is a good example of an effective post. It's got a text area. It's short enough that there is no more on here. This is all that you see. It's got some appropriate tags, and it's got a very effective picture, soap, water, copper. This picture I found because one of my clients is involved in copper. And I showed this to her because she struggles with a good picture that actually encapsulates what she's trying to get across, which is that copper is almost as effective, if not more so, than soap and water. So this is a very effective picture. This is actually a post that doesn't have any words, or does it? Isn't this a very effective post? This is a survey, isn't it? They didn't have to say this is a survey. And it's clear that what they want you to do is, if you favor a 9-to-5 job, then click the like. If you favor flexible hours, then click the heart. What do you think the results of this are? Well, did you notice that? 70,000, actually, this was some time ago. It's probably still going around and it's well over this, but there were 70,000 people, almost 71, who voted on this with 672 comments. So this person who posted it really got a lot of traction out of that. And for those of you who are curious, here's the result of the voting as of this period of time. The 9-to-5 job won over the flexible hours, like 2-to-1. So that's kind of an interesting survey. It would also be interesting to know more about this survey, wouldn't it? You know, where are these people? Are they in the United States? Because I just find it really hard to believe that most people in the United States think a 9-to-5 job is the way to go, but maybe it is.
Diane, it looks like actually the flexible people were twice. Look at the heart. I don't know if you want to go back. 48.
You know, I read that wrong. Yes, I was reading that backwards. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so now it makes sense.
Then it makes sense. Who wants to be in a job 9-to-5?
Right.
Oh, man. I thought they just wanted to stay away from their family longer. No, see, inappropriate. That would never happen in my household. Everybody wants to be at home. Okay, so what other kind of content? Well, live images, videos, text updates, original research, the latest episode of your podcast, GIFs, screenshots, linked to ebooks, white papers, but no pictures of kittens or a vacation. When you're writing articles, you want to be careful about writing them at too sophisticated an audience, because the reality is that you should be writing to a 13 to 15-year-old level. That is based upon something called a Flesch-Kincaid grade level. And if you look even at the New York Times, the New York Times opinion section is written to a 10th grade level, as opposed to the sports. And I don't know what this is saying about people who read sports, but the people who read sports, the New York Times writes to an 8th grade level. So you want to be sure that when you're writing, you know, we all know you've got a great vocabulary, but if we have to be looking up every third word that you use, you've lost me along the way. So let's write in, it doesn't have to be like really small words, but the Flesch-Kincaid is based upon the number of characters in a word, the number of words in a sentence, and the number of sentences in a paragraph. And it looks at that and it checks it out. If you want to, if you use Microsoft Word for your word processing program, sorry, I must be talking a lot. You can write your document and then go to the file menu under options and click on proofing. And when you spell check, it will also give you the readability of your document. So you'll have a better idea as to whether or not you're meeting your target audience in your writing levels. Okay, so if you're sharing posts to a group, then you click on share. You find the audience, and we saw this before, that when you click on audience, you'd have an opportunity to choose group members. And when you choose group members, you'll have an opportunity to select which group this is going to. So you can see some of my business groups that I belong to, and I often will share content that is from my clients to the appropriate groups, if that's a way to go, an appropriate way to go. Or I do a lot of sharing of SCORE, because all of these groups could use a mentor, perhaps, or even more importantly, could become a mentor, right? You may not know everything about everything, but you could be a mentor and you could help other people become successful. And I think it's called paying it forward, which is very popular these days. You write your message and post, and then click on the post button. So when you're sharing content from other sites, you want to keep it professional, provide the content on the relevance of the subject matter. Why should people care about this? Add a question to the content you're sharing to invite discussion. That's always a good idea, to end with a question, and then people in the comments will reply to the question, and it will get you more than 5 words and keep that content going. Remember, any URL to a commercial site that tries to sell a product or service will be reported and removed. That's not what LinkedIn is all about. Do not share URLs with inappropriate or spam-like content. Okay, this is a great picture, but it's hard to read. So what I would suggest that you do is review the video or review the slides when you get them, and you'll be able to see the takeaways from the LinkedIn using the algorithms. It will help make you a better LinkedIn person, LinkedIn contributor, and have a more enjoyable experience. So the mission of LinkedIn is simple: to connect the world's professionals, to make them more productive and successful. And really, isn't that a great statement? Who doesn't want to be more productive and successful in your life? I mean, not so much me, because I'm old and I'm out of the loop anymore. But for those of you who are still in the fray, you want to be successful, and LinkedIn is a tool that can help you do that. So, oof, I feel like I raced through that. Oh, I was only a minute over. Oh, good for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Very good. Diane, that was a lot of great information. Thank you. And I know we got a lot of engagement based on the chats and Q&As. I know Rick had to drop. We had a question. Why don't we start? And first of all, before I go through the Q&A and chat questions, if you have any questions, please think of them, type them up here, or if you want us to open your microphone, raise your hand. So Diane, in the Q&A box is Rick Jaggers, who had to drop. I want a company that sells soap at craft stores. What does LinkedIn offer me? His clients are not online.
He sells stoves or what?
They sell soaps at craft stores.
Oh, soaps. Soaps.
Yeah, as in wash up.
Mm.
So why would I be on LinkedIn? And I mean, you sort of alluded to it, that you'd be surprised who's on LinkedIn. I mean, it could be your suppliers, it could be your clients, it could be, I mean, it's not a, it's a platform that all businesses are on. I sort of think of it as everybody should be on it that's in business. What do you think?
I agree with you, and I think that your comment was well directed to, you might be able to find new sources for your product, for the ingredients for your product, and you never know. There might be a group on there, I don't know, of boutique owners who might help you identify other businesses that would be interested in carrying your product. And you don't have to be at so many craft shows, that you can actually get your product into small stores if there's a group like that. And I bet there are groups for everything, aren't there?
Yep, there are groups for everything. So that's great. The next question from Jerry: how do I make more profile available with a link and without a password? So I read this as, a lot of times people put on their resumes their LinkedIn URL, I think. So if you go into profile and you go into contact info, I think there's a way to cut and paste that. If I understand Jerry's question correctly, you can then include that URL and it takes people right to your profile. It does.
And even if they don't have LinkedIn, it typically will bring up your profile anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So Missy had a good question about contacts, connections. How do you how can you sort them by industry? Is there a way to manage your connections? And I actually hadn't played with it too much, I have to admit, until just a few minutes ago. And I went into connections, my connections, and I was able to filter them. Now, the filters are sort of limited. You can do it by location, by company name, but there is an industry. So you'll have to play with those filters on LinkedIn.
And people will have had to have added that information to their profiles.
Right, because it is, if they had added it as they built their profile, then that information is there. If not, LinkedIn wouldn't be able to filter it by that field.
Exactly.
But that is available. I know Jerry included his URL, which is great. Thank you.
For his soap business?
Oh no, this one, oh, this is his mentor. He's a score mentor, a great score mentor. So.
Ah, okay.
Well,
Jerry, link to me, Diane McKeever.
And Yvette, I don't know which graphic, Yvette, you were asking. Are you able to tell us? I don't know. I didn't see this on time. I think Diane was going through the graphics pretty quickly, but we'll send out the presentation in the next 48 hours and then get back to us. We're available and we will address any questions you have.
Sadly, I only have 45 minutes, so I had to talk quickly.
Yes, and and you do.
I come from New York.
Yeah. So we'll be done with that. So Robert, how would I choose primary groups that are local to my area? So let's say Melbourne, Florida is where Robert is interested in the local groups. Is there a way to filter by location? And I think there is, isn't it?
Well, you put that word in, put Florida in, put Sarasota in, and what you're looking for relative to that. Sarasota real estate agents, I did Sarasota small business, and I found a whole group of groups that related to that. So add that in as your search term when you're looking for groups. And in fact, when you put in your group search term, it will show you that there are groups that it returns and people and other options. So you'll then click on groups and just filter out the groups that use your search terms.
Yes, so I think, yeah, LinkedIn, much like any of the other social media platforms, has excellent search capabilities. So,
yes. They want you to join groups. They want you to be part of LinkedIn.
They do. I mean, what they want is engagement from you. So anything to get engaged. So let me look at, I'm going to look at Q&As now. We had a few things come up in the Q&A box, Diane. So I'm just going through them real quickly. I think you addressed a lot of them. Oh, about the paid subscriptions, and you showed the one graphic. So who needs a paid subscription? So it's, I know there are a lot of recruiters on LinkedIn. I know lots and lots. There's sales opportunities. So people that want to sell, want to find their clients there, their companies.
There's insurance brokers out there. I know that.
So those are the people that do the paid subscription. But as a normal, I think you already covered it. As a normal user, you don't need to have a paid subscription.
60% do not pay for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
For the average user, the only thing I found recently was I tried to connect to somebody, and it was not somebody that I had any business connecting to, except that I was doing a search for SCORE for presenters, and this was somebody that I was hoping to be able to reach, and I couldn't message them because I didn't have a paid membership. Okay, well, I can live without that.
Right, exactly. Let me see what else we have. I think there was one question. It almost sounded like, how do you really, share other people's content? And I know there's a share button. So if you do a post, you can allow others to share it, correct?
Yeah, you encourage people. In fact, there's this term in social media called a call to action. And very often when you tell people what you want them to do, shockingly, they do it. So if you post something and you think it's quite relevant to a number of people, you can say, please consider sharing this so that your friends benefit from it too, so that your colleagues can hear about it.
Right, right. So I think if I missed it, I apologize, but I think we've addressed everything that was in the Q&A and in the chat.
All right, well, I'm going to take a couple of seconds unless you want to give a little shout out.
One last question. How do you go live on LinkedIn, Diane? I've never done that. That's a question that Lourdes asked.
Yeah, it's one of the options that's available to you when you post. So it's, and you know, if you find it confusing, do a Google search on LinkedIn going live, and it will, you know, 1,000 people will have videos on how exactly to do it.
Exactly. Okay, I think we answered all the questions, Diane.
Okay, this is the last webinar of 2021. We're coming back strong in January. We've got a whole new series coming up. It's called New Year, New Business. It's what we're focusing on in January. In February, we're focusing on money, financials. And in March, we're working on HR things, some of which are really interesting. So keep going to our website, look at all, you will get information on all of these, but I just want you to know that we appreciate your participation. If you want to give back, if you'd like to volunteer, you think you know enough about a subject, then volunteer to be a mentor, or you could be what's called a subject matter expert. You don't have to be mentoring clients. You can also go to our website if you want to mentor, or check out our other workshops or podcasts or other tools online. So you will be getting a survey. Please take a moment to fill in this survey. It is so important because not only does it tell us that you like this webinar or you hated this webinar, but how we can improve. And more importantly for me as the education director here, what other topics are you interested in? What topics would you love to see covered? So please take a moment and fill in that evaluation if you would, please. Raman, any last words?
No, other than Diane, thank you. You have done an amazing job this year with our education. So thank you for delivering such great content on LinkedIn and everything else you've taught people throughout the year.
Thank you. Thank you. This has been great. All right. Thank you all for coming.